Good day, dear viewers. In this video, we decided that you guys have had too much time off since the last time we talked about a character with such deep hate for a hero, which, I use that term loosely here, that they make it their whole personality. A villain with all the right tools to be a true arch-nemesis. Not to mention, one of the best skin complexions in all of comics. That's right, we bring to you Jigsaw Explained. The dark history of Punisher's arch-nemesis that you must know. I'm Andru Lapamardo, your narrator, and this is Marvelous Videos. Stories of ordinary men turning into villains after tragic incidents are pretty common in the superhero universe. And we have probably come across many such origin stories of villains and vigilantes alike. One such villain is Marvel Universe's Jigsaw, who was created by Ross Andru and Len Wein. Jigsaw was a former crime lord in New York who got into trouble with the Punisher and then dedicated his life to getting revenge on this vigilante. Let us explore his origins and dive into the history of this powerful villain, who is also Punisher's arch-nemesis. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, let's begin. Exploring the origins of this demented character. Formerly known as Billy Russo, Jigsaw was originally a notorious crime lord who ruled the crime scene in New York. Besides his criminal activities, Russo was given the nickname The Beaut for his handsome features, and he took quite some pride in his physical appearance. Russo often carried out assassinations himself, and sometimes he even carried out murders for the infamous Costa family and the Maggia crime syndicate. Bruno Costa of the Costa family once stirred up quite some trouble when he shot at Frank Castle's family and killed most of them. It so happened that Bruno was in the middle of a mob attack when the Castle family accidentally discovered them while looking for a picnic spot. Bruno ordered his men to shoot them, and Frank Castle was the sole survivor of this attack. Bruno then hired Billy Russo and asked him to kill Frank Castle as well as any survivors of the attack so that it does not cause them any trouble in the future. However, Frank Castle was already determined to bring Bruno to justice, and he also had his eye on the Costa family. Billy Russo agreed to take on this job and soon found himself face to face with Frank Castle. However, Frank managed to escape Billy Russo and was quite a tough person to kill. Billy even planted explosives in Frank's home, but Frank survived this as well. Tired of the justice system not working in his favor, Frank Castle was then determined to take matters into his hands and took on the identity of the Punisher. His encounters with Billy Russo further motivated him to go on this path since he had managed to survive Russo's attacks. Frank Castle then decided to take on the role of judge, jury, and executioner, and he took on a new identity as the Punisher. Castle traced Billy Russo at a party at the Maggia Club. The Punisher ruthlessly shot all the people at the party and only left Billy Russo alive in order to send out a message to the crime syndicates of New York. Before leaving, the Punisher pushed Billy Russo out of a glass window, severely damaging Russo's face. The incident left many scars on Russo's face and ruined his beauty and handsome features. Russo was quite bitter about this, and he got obsessed with getting revenge on the Punisher and destroying his life. He formed a new gang and started extensive training in order to get strong enough to battle the Punisher.
Everybody get down! I want to see some hands! Get down! Get down!
Moreover, he assumed a new identity as Jigsaw, since his face appeared like pieces of a jigsaw that had been scattered and then reassembled and stitched together. Moreover, Jigsaw tried to frame Punisher for attempted murder, but he failed in doing so after some intervention from Spider-Man and Nightcrawler. Later on, Jigsaw often fought against Spider-Man and was also a major villain in the Amazing Spider-Man comics. Jigsaw in the Punisher TV series is a dark and intimidating villain story. Jigsaw was one of the main antagonists in Marvel's The Punisher series on Netflix, and here the character was portrayed by Ben Barnes. Jigsaw's character had quite a different story in this show, as he was not a crime lord but rather a lieutenant who worked alongside Frank Castle before they became enemies. William Billy Russo lived a life full of struggles as he grew up with a drug addict mother in New York City. At a young age, Billy was put up for foster care, where he was the victim of child harassment. He tried to defend himself and ended up with severe injuries as a child. Later on, he grew up and became a lieutenant in the U.S. Special Forces, where he met Frank Castle. They both became friends and often saved each other's lives on missions. However, things went south when Billy snitched about how Frank's unit used brutal force during one of their missions for Project Cerberus. When the leader of the project, Agent Orange, got wind of these incidents, he blamed Frank Castle for them. Agent Orange, also known as William Rawlins, was a ruthless officer, and he arranged the murder of Castle's wife and children to teach him a lesson. This leads Frank to leave the military, as he then turns into the vigilante known as the Punisher. Frank also befriends a whistleblower known as Micro to track down Rawlins and kill him. Billy was also aware of Rawlins' plan to kill Frank Castle's family, and Frank confronts him. Billy requests Frank to just kill him, but instead, Frank smashes Billy's head into a mirror, which causes severe damage to his face. The impact also results in memory loss, and Billy has a hard time recovering from this incident. In the second season of the series, we learn that Billy has been unconscious for months after that incident, and that he now has constant nightmares about the night when Frank smashed his face into a mirror. He has also become much more deranged and violent and seems to be throwing constant tantrums as he tries to regain his memory. A therapist named Krista Dumont was sent to help Billy recover from the trauma of this incident, and she kept quiet while Billy escaped from the facility where he was held. Krista was accompanied by 2 police guards who tried to subdue Billy, but Billy fought them and managed to take them down before running away. He later ran into Frank Castle, who had now become the Punisher. Billy tried to apologize to Frank, but Frank did not give him a chance and shot at him before he could even complete his sentence. Punisher Warzone 2008. Punisher met his match in this gripping movie. Jigsaw was the main antagonist in the Punisher Warzone movie that came out in 2008. The movie was a reboot that followed the life of Punisher as he became a vigilante and fights against crime. Directed by Lexi Alexander, the movie cast Ray Stevenson to play the Punisher, while Dominic West played the role of Jigsaw. Frank Castle was a former U.S. Marine who had lost his family in a tragic mob accident and had then taken on a new identity as Punisher. 5 years after taking on this new identity, Frank shows up at a party arranged by criminal Gaetano Cesare. Here, he brutally murders Cesare as well as most of his guests. Billy Rizzotti, also known as the Butte, managed to escape Frank's attack and sought refuge at the recycling plant that served as a hideout. However, the Punisher is accompanied by police officer Soap and Safiotti, and they spot Billy as he escapes the party, with some help from these detectives. The Punisher quickly locates Billy's hideout, and he and Billy end up in a fight. The Punisher manages to overpower Billy and throw him into a glass cutting machine, which severely distorts Billy's face. Billy then takes on the name Jigsaw and is determined to take revenge on the Punisher. Frank Castle later finds out that one of the people he killed during the attack was Nicky Donatelli, an undercover agent of the FBI who had only infiltrated the mob to provide information to the authorities. Donatello's partner, Agent Paul Budiansky, then creates an NYPD Punisher task force to capture this so-called vigilante and bring him to justice. In the meantime, Frank feels guilty for killing an innocent agent, and he tries to get rid of the guilt by making reparations to Donatello's wife, Angela, and daughter Grace, who also questions if he should step down as a vigilante, but his ally Microchip, also known as Micro, advises him against doing so. Micro further tells Frank that there is a good chance that Jigsaw will go after Angela and Grace and that he needs to protect them. On a different side, Jigsaw frees his clinically insane brother, Looney Bin Jim, who is also a cannibal. Jigsaw then goes after Donatella's family, accompanied by Looney Bin Jim and 2 more allies known as Ink and Patsy. They hold Angela and Grace hostage while the Punisher tries to locate Jigsaw's whereabouts. Punisher approaches Jigsaw's friend, Maganiti, who gives up his plans to attack Donatella's family. After getting information about Jigsaw's whereabouts, the Punisher kills Maganiti before making his way to Donatella's house. However, Soap and Buddy Ansky from the Punisher Task Force catch up with him and place him under arrest for killing Donatelli. The Punisher tells them that Donatelli's family is in danger and urges them to go after Jigsaw instead. Though Buddy Ansky is skeptical, he sends a police car to check up on Donatella's residence and finally believes that something is amiss. Along with Soap and Buddy Ansky, the Punisher makes his way inside the house and kills Ink and Patsy. He works along with the detectives to capture Jigsaw and his brother, and they also free Angela and Grace from the hostage situation. Buddy Ansky finally places Jigsaw and Looney Bin Jim under arrest, while the Punisher gets Donatella's family to safety. Jigsaw and Looney Bin Jim later manage to free themselves by striking a deal with the FBI. They give up crucial information about Christu Bollet, who was smuggling weapons for terrorists in New York. In return for this information, they are granted immunity, money, and a file on the Punisher ally Micro.
You're gonna give me and my brother here the immunity and the money.
Jigsaw then goes after Micro and even kills his mother while taking Micro hostage. He also manages to capture Angela and Grace, again, and critically injures Carlos, who had been protecting them. When Punisher visits Carlos, he finds that Angela and Grace have once again been captured. He also realizes that his friend is critical and on the verge of death, and has to kill him out of pity. Punisher then sets out to locate Jigsaw, who has set up base at the Bradstreet Hotel along with a bunch of criminals who wish to defeat the Punisher. The Punisher seeks out Buddy Ansky's help, who in turn leaks Jigsaw's location to Christu Bollet's father, Tiberayu Bollet. Since Jigsaw had betrayed his son, Tiberayu sends his men to attack Jigsaw, and they orchestrate a shootout at the Bradstreet Hotel. The shootout leaves the Punisher with enough time to sneak into Jigsaw's room, and he enters the hotel through a window on the 2nd floor. The Punisher fights off Jigsaw's men and his brother Looney Bin Jim, who does not put up much of a fight. Finally, Punisher finds himself face to face with Jigsaw, who is now holding his friend Micro as well as Donatella's daughter Grace hostage. Jigsaw is pointing a gun at Micro and Grace, and he asks the Punisher to choose between saving the two. Micro asks Punisher to shoot at him so that Donatella's family can be safe, but Punisher shoots his gun at Looney Bin Jim instead. Enraged by the fact that the Punisher had killed his brother, Jigsaw then shoots Micro and kills him. The Punisher and Jigsaw end up fighting each other, and the Punisher finally kills Jigsaw by impaling him with a metal rod in a very ghastly scene. The Punisher then throws Jigsaw's body in the fire, thereby burning him to death. Even without superpowers, he was quite a handful. Jigsaw was just an ordinary mob criminal before taking on his new identity, and he did not have any supernatural origins that bestowed him with powers. However, he was still quite a force to reckon with, and he often managed to create a lot of trouble without the help of any superpowers. He was quite athletic and had spent years and years doing intensive physical training that helped him match the Punisher's combat skills. Jigsaw also spent his entire time in prison tending to his body and trying to increase his physical strength in order to defeat the Punisher. Jigsaw was also exponentially skilled in street fighting techniques and was handy with all sorts of weapons and arms. In his years of working in the underground crime scene, he has picked up on various combat skills that make him a deadly opponent. Jigsaw's weapons of choice are handguns, and he has quite a collection of guns that he uses according to his convenience. Moreover, he also wears special exoskeletons on his clothes, which help him avoid injuries and enhance his combat skills. Conclusion: To sum it up, Jigsaw is quite a deadly opponent who has had years of experience with criminal activities. He is a fittingly dark villain for someone as determined as the Punisher, and it makes sense for him to consider the Punisher his arch-nemesis. However, he has fought against other superheroes such as Spider-Man and Nightcrawler, and has had a widespread presence that extends across the Marvel Universe. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.